Hi, my name is Alicia Arnold, and I'm going to tell you a story about Nelson Mandela. He was just a small boy and he was raised in South Africa. When his father died, he was sent to stay with a chief who was known as his guardian. Mandela went to church every Sunday with his guardian. Christianity was a huge part of his life, and he was going to the Methodist Mission School, which was located next to the palace, and he studied English, history, and geography. He loved African history. He was highly influenced by the anti-imperialist rhetoric of Chief Joy. Mandela began working on a Bachelor of Arts degree at the University of Fort Hare, a black institution in Alice, Eastern Cape, and it had about 150 students. There he studied English, anthropology, politics, native administration, Roman Dutch during his first year. He was desiring to become an interpreter or clerk in the Native Affairs Department, but in 1937 he moved to Hilldown, the Methodist College in Fort Beaufort, which was attended by royalty. He received a 2-year diploma in law of his bachelor's allowed Nelson Mandela to practice law, and in August of 1952, he and Oliver Tambo established the first black law firm, and it was called Mandela and Tambo. At the end of 1952, he was banned for the first time. As a restricted person, he was only permitted to watch in secret as the Freedom Charter was adopted in Kliptown on June 26, 1955. Nelson Mandela was also arrested on December 5, 1955, which led to the 1956 treason trial. Men and women of all races found themselves in the dock in the marathon on trial that ended with the last 28 accused, including Mandela, were acquitted on March 29, 1961. This wasn't the last criminal involvement that Nelson Mandela would have to go through. It was just the beginning. On March 21, 1960, police killed 69 unarmed people in a protest against the passed laws that were held at Sharpeville. The country was declared the first state of emergency, and the banning of the ANC and the Pan-African Congress on April 8th. Nelson Mandela and his colleagues in the treason trial were among thousands detained during the state of emergency. On January 11, 1961, Nelson Mandela secretly left South Africa. He traveled around Africa and England to gain support for the armed struggle. During this time, he was trained by the military in Morocco and Ethiopia and returned to South Africa in July 1961. He was arrested in a police roadblock outside of Howick on August 5th, where he briefed the ANC President-Chief, Albert Luthuli, about the trip. He was charged with leaving the country illegally for trying to get workers to go on strike. He was convicted and sentenced to 5 years imprisonment on May 27, 1963. He was convicted and sentenced to 5 years imprisonment. On May 27, 1963, he was transferred to Robben Island, where within a month of getting out, he was also stopped in a police raid in Ravanya, which was used as an ANC and Communist Party activist of several comrades, and they were arrested. On October 9, 1963, Nelson Mandela joined 10 others on trial for sabotage, in which became known for the Ravanya trial. While facing the death penalty, his words to the court at the end of his famous speech for the dock on April 20, 1964 became immortalized. On October 9, 1963, Mandela joined 10 others on trial. The famous speech that he had said, "I fought against white domination, and I fought against black domination. I have cherished the idea of democratic, free society in which all persons live together in harmony with equal opportunities. It is an ideal which I hope to live for and to achieve before I die. But it needs be, if needs be, it is the ideal way for which I am prepared to die. In 1963, Mandela was brought to trial again. This time, he and 10 other of the leaders were sentenced. This was just basically in the same at which he had the speech from the dock. Nelson Mandela was incarcerated on Robben Island for 18 years. During this time, he contracted tuberculosis. As a black politician prisoner, he received the lowest level of treatment in the prison from the prison workers. While incarcerated, he did earn his Bachelor of Law degree through the University of London. 1982, Mandela and other ANC leaders were moved to Pollsmoor prison, and they were able to have contact between the South African government. In 1985, the President P.W. Botha offered Mandela's release in exchange for renouncing armed struggle, but the offer was rejected. With increasing and local international pressure for his release, the government participated in several talks with Mandela over the years, but no deal was ever made. Finally, when Botha suffered a stroke, he was replaced by Frederick William de Klerk. That Mandela's release was finally announced, February 11, 1990, where all of the other ANC were also removed from the restrictions and the political groups and suspended the executions. Nelson Mandela became the first black president of South America in 1994, serving until 1999. A symbol of the global peacemaking, he won the Nobel Peace Prize in 1993. And then, the main thing that Mandela wanted to say was that South Africans from every sector had reached out across the divisions of the centuries and averted a bloodbath which most observers believed inevitable, so much so that our smooth transition was held widely a miracle. But most of all, it was the complete lack of bitterness that he displayed for having to serve the 27 years while he was imprisoned. It enabled him to win over his divided nation and charm the world with his statesmanship. Nelson Mandela's compassion and political shrewdness helped bring about much change. Thank you.